All right, here we go. We have part two of the apple.com/business B2B case study. And this part two is a breakdown of their website. I did a breakdown of the short film that works as top of funnel content for them in part one. If you haven't watched that, that link is in the description. But let's just get right into it. So, first, we're going to apple.com/business, and you're going to see that they have built a web page which is just for their business selling. Now, if you were to click on, the home button, it's very consumer facing, right? By the way, on their consumer website, this kind of bottom part is where they rotate content out, and the business, when they launched the short film, it was here, but at this point, they're probably just sending this link to people when they're selling and stuff. So anyways, you got this landing page, and the way it works, very simple. You have this vertical flow with big pictures, minimalism to it, which is very deceptive because it goes deep. It turns into a labyrinth, an elegantly designed labyrinth, but also you have this horizontal sub-navigation going on. And just so you know how this flowchart works, which I made for you, okay? Because the flowchart I made for myself did not look this nice. But I thought, okay, if I'm going to share this with people, I should actually put some effort into it. Now, basically, each section of the website is broken down, right? So into a separate section, right? Because these are all main sections, right? So we're scrolling down. As you scroll down the website, you can scroll down on the flowchart, and it follows it all the way to the end. Now, each section is broken down into the navigation, into the elements that make it work. So, for instance, the headline copy, watching the short film, the text, whatever it is, I'm going to go ahead and break it down for you. So we'll just start off with the beginning sections, just as an example. So obviously you have what's called above the fold. Now, above the fold, if you don't know, is just simply the area of your website that is visible before you start scrolling down. Okay? So, on a laptop or whatever, if you maximize, you're going to see about like this much of it, right? Now, below the fold, what they did, which is what I thought was really interesting. So above the fold, you just have this headline, which is basically their thesis. This is Apple at work, which is what you are going to experience as a message hammered home over and over again as you go through this experience. And then obviously they have the film embedded, and you could watch it, and you just X out. And then what I thought was interesting is right below the fold, they have a, text paragraph, which is, well, I guess this is kind of above the fold, so I just put it in that section, but it's basically copywriting, which helps you kind of support this statement here, right? Apple products help employees work more simply and productively, solve problems creatively, and collaborate with a shared purpose. They're all designed to work together beautifully. When people have the power to work the way they want with the tools they love, they can do their best work and change the future of their business, which was represented in the short film because these, crazy kooky characters had an amazing idea that they had to pull off. Now, this is where I get into the brilliance of this full experience, okay? Because a lot of B2B companies would, even if they made a short film, they would just stick it on the website, and then they go into all their sales and stuff like that. And they're kind of missing the point, right? Because if you are getting someone to come to your website, or if they've come to your website and they've watched the film and they like it, you want to continue that experience in every way possible, okay? You want to have a continuity in user experience. Now, what you'll notice is that they decided not to waste any real estate, and they made a pop-up menu, okay? A pop-up box, and you have this sub-navigation just for the menu. And if you'll notice, each value prop that they're offering here is shown with a corresponding frame from the short film that is showing this in action. So that is why this short film was brilliant and definitely an exercise in, creative storytelling that really, really takes into consideration what does Apple want to sell you. Okay? It's not just, a lot of advertising you'll see is just like something funny, something surprising, whatever, and then they just cut to the tagline and the logo at the end, and they just, want you to associate them with that emotion, and hopefully that'll trigger you into buying. But with Apple, they're like, let's make a short film where we're showing the people using the products to achieve this goal, to fulfill this thesis right here, that doing the best work, change the future of their business, blah, blah. And in the funnel on our website, let's make sure that they don't forget that now, because the short film is mostly entertaining, so it happens really quickly, and you're not going to stop and break it down unless you're a geek like me. And, I just happen to be that crossroad of film geek and tech geek. So I guess that makes me the one who did this, because I haven't found this anywhere. Anyways, I do this for myself, y'all. And so this is kind of my first time really sharing this with the world. So hopefully you guys like it. So anyways, I just thought that was really awesome. And this is really the only place where the pop-up box appears, because the rest of it is, going into the actual B2B sales part. So this is still kind of focusing on like using the film to help you kind of connect the dots. And if you like what you see here, then you're going to keep scrolling, right? Also at the bottom, you have a link, explore more apps on the App Store. And they built another landing page, right? They didn't just send you to their app store, right? They're using copy that is referencing the film in a little bit, but they actually talk about it in Apple's new short film Underdogs. Oh, it's called Underdogs. Sorry, I thought it was called Apple at Work. See, that's how good their tagline is, right? A scrappy team of colleagues managed to pull together a high-stakes presentation in 2 short days using a suite of apps for iPad, iPhone, and Mac. Again, these are all consumer products that they are teaching you to think differently about. Okay, this is Apple at Work, blah, blah. And then they link you back to the film, right? So that's a loop right there. But if you scroll down, you actually see them again with the still frame, right? And talking about how it's used, and then they have links to these apps so you could check it out, right? See, they show the Mac and PC collaborating, which, boom, right there. Okay, and they don't break down every single thing, but you get the point by there. I would have liked, if you're gonna build a landing page, a sub landing page for this, then I would have liked, some sort of button that takes you back to the home page, because my personal philosophy is that, make things flow like water. If somebody has to scroll up to go back, or, maybe they don't know this takes you back to the home page because they already watched the film, or if you have to hit the back button, I think there's something lost there. That's just my personal opinion. Also, I want to make a quick disclaimer. I am not a, developer or UX, designer. So people can feel free to give me their 2 cents. I am not pretending that I am, the guru of that. I'm just simply a brand marketer that, and storyteller that geeks out on this kind of stuff. So this is just my analysis based on thinking like a marketer and a branding expert. Okay. Now what you have here is this experience where you scroll down and then they just start hitting you with the value props. Okay. And a lot of times it's going to echo what you've already read. Technology designed for all the ways your employees want to work. Well, where did I just hear that? Oh, when people have the power to work the way they want, right? One thing I want to note is that, they have this formula where, they have a nice image, a big splash pagey kind of image. They have the headline, which talks about, the category they're talking about. And then, a copy for the headline, which is kind of like a mini thesis. And then a body copy, which just kind of like, blah, 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 talks more and more, learn more. But what I thought was really interesting is that for a lot of these sections, they basically embedded more content, but in the kind of Apple elegant manner. It's very minimalistic, right? Like a lot of people, if you're gonna put more videos in, they would just you would see video, 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 video. And I think what they did here was cool because it's like if you want to watch it, it's there, right? But they're kind of more highlighting to go deeper on this section, right? So another thing I want to point out on the navigation is that, a lot of pages that are, kind of vertical experiences, if you click on the sub nav, it would just scroll you down to this section, right? No, no, no. This is actually a totally different page. Okay? So, and you'll see it at work here, where when you click on learn more, then it takes you to a totally new page, which is another landing page just for this section. So Apple at Work, apple.com/business, the front page of that is basically like kind of like a summary funnel, but each section has its own kind of funnel to it. So if you'll see what I did here on the flow chart is that if there's a link out, it will show you that it's going to sub navigation. Is highlighting the section. By the way, these are all clickable links. Okay, so it'll actually take you to the page. That's the kind of work I do for y'all. Okay, and if it's in a box like this, that means it's all in one page. And I just this one. So I just basically again went to each section, right, of the fold, and headline and download, the PDF, intuitive interface. I basically went section by section for y'all. So anyways, but again, I want to show you how they keep hitting you with content. Now this is a testimonial video of British Airways and interviewing British Airways people and showing them using, Apple products. So this is a very bread and butter type content for B2B. Testimonial videos are very important for B2B. So Apple, that is typically a company thought of as just a consumer company, they have to go for the big guns, and they got to really show you that, hey, like, this is not just like some cute thing. We are like providing solutions for massive companies, okay, that cannot mess around, that they're, airplanes, right? By the way, I just want to point out briefly the difference between a well-made, entertaining short film that has 1 million product shots and yet you don't care, versus this testimonial video, which, you see this woman very stiffly holding an iPad up to make sure we could see the logo. I could just hear the director, because I am a director myself, so sometimes I can just see the intent, what's going on. Like, I could just hear the director telling this person, make sure you hold the iPad like that so we can see who holds the iPad exactly like that, right? Like, it's just so fake. See, like, she even put her hand on the bottom because she's like, I'm gonna drop this. See that right there? Anyways, so you see them using, the products, blah, blah, blah. Again, it's very, like, kind of fake, not natural, because, and this is just me nitpicking, by the way, so sorry to whoever produced this, and I know you had to do that because, you got to see the products, but I'm just saying that I could tell. So anyways, they have this main section, products and platforms, takes you to their second page. It just goes through all the different value props, whether it's hardware, security, compatibility, blah, blah. They're just trying to address any questions you have, right? Then, because they only showed one kind of example here of a testimonial, they're like, okay, in case you have any doubts, let's go ahead and look at all the partners we got. So they talk about Accenture and Cisco and Deloitte and GE, all these massive, massive companies, and they give you some stat, right? So that's reflected in this page where you have the subnav for partners, and it's basically a client spotlight matrix, which are all these. By the way, I'm kind of, it looks a little different when it's when your website is bigger. I just had to squeeze these two presentations in together. So that's why I call it a matrix. So, and then when you click on learn more, it just goes to their website. And if you notice, Accenture made a landing page just for Apple, right? Apple and Accenture. Okay. But it's on their website and it shows like blah, 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 like their app, their landing. None of these partners have landing pages as good as the one Apple made for themselves, but hey, that's the way it goes. Salesforce made one as well. Apple and Salesforce bringing together the best devices for business and the number one CRM. Best devices, number one CRM. Okay, our new partnership helps you. Blah blah blah. I guess they put a little more effort in the Salesforce one. So kudos to you. Anyways, so that's pretty cool. So with partners. The only thing I would say about this navigation, again, I am not a fan of having to scroll back up. Okay? Like, I know it's not part of the current design theory that is out there with most websites, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I just like being able to keep going. I want to go forever. That's why I used to love Tumblr. See, Tumblr had it right. You could scroll forever down, and then there was just a little button in the corner that's like, take me all the way back to the top now, okay? Anyways, so then, you get to the next section, which is they call Get Started, empower every employee with access to iPhone, iMac, iPad, and Mac. Again, they're just selling their exact same products that they have. They didn't make the B2B iPhone, which could be pretty cool, but they didn't. Again, on this one, they embedded another video, which is a testimonial. Now, this one is more focused on the employee happiness. So right away, you got dad coming in. This is very multicultural. I guess that's the nanny, or because she's like Black and Asian, and this woman is not neither of those. So I'm assuming she's the nanny. Anyways, you just see basically your employees using these products and stuff, and then they're talking about how much our employees love using them. Capital One, another big company, and again, if you click on this, you go to the another landing page. Boom, you see here, grayed out in the journey, and I break down the sections here again. And one thing I want to call out is that for different value props or things that they're focusing on, they create really detailed guide for you. Apple Employee Choice Guide, aka the catalog in which your employees will totally geek out and figure out how to convince you to buy these products. They even have like get started 1 2 3 blah blah blah. So it's PDF. They have PDFs on security, all sorts of stuff. All these like actual nuts and bolts questions that people are going to have, right? Employee communications kit, employee starter guide for Mac, iOS. So they're really like, seriously, this is great B2B work, because if you are actually considering buying like, 1,000 of these products, you don't care if it's cool. You care if it works, right? Because you got a bottom line to worry about. So they're giving you as much ammo as possible to really understand that it's doable. So in the journey, if you'll notice, like they start with top of funnel, and it's just like, the viral short film, entertaining. Then they talk about kind of like an overview of products and platforms. Then they hit you with the testimonials and kind of street cred. And then they talk about how much your employees are going to love it. And then they get even more granular and they talk about the apps, right? So then They talk about the apps to change how you work. And then they even right away, they're like, here's this enterprise blueprint. Oh, I'm sorry, you need iTunes for the book. I have iTunes, but I think one thing I would say about this part, though, is if you're selling B2B in an industry where mostly people have PCs, and then, you're like, hey, if you want this blueprint, you should get it. You have to use iTunes to get it. I don't see why you couldn't just have another link that's like, hey, download a PDF. So, because I'm like contrarian myself. So, just the fact that they're trying to force me into this process of using the platform to view a book that I'm just trying to check out to make a better decision, it makes me not want to do it. Right? Anyways, so then, like, for instance, they even, okay, fine, I'm opening iTunes. Mofo. Oh, no, it's a landing page. Okay, good. Anyways, so then they literally created a playlist for tips on how to use different apps for your business, and I thought that was really cool. They're using every tool in their arsenal in this funnel. Okay, they're hitting you with videos, they're hitting you with PDFs, with podcast summaries, playlists. I mean, they're just really getting you with it, and they're gonna talk about all the different questions you have. They have answers for it. Even the fact you could build apps, right? Take it to the next level. Even finding partners, blah blah blah. And then at the bottom here, you have a split nav, which basically we're here now, which takes you to two totally different landing pages. Okay, so one is about the healthcare industry. Now, if you'll notice, they actually do the same thing over, which is just Apple at work, but now it's for healthcare. They have this vertical experience where they have, key sections, which, has even more testimonials, videos embedded, right? And then also this sub nav, which basically goes into specific elements that they're trying to say that is really good for the healthcare industry. Okay. And then at the bottom, it's either the healthcare industry, which is all the same content, again, reskin for the healthcare industry, or wellness, which they are aiming towards, individuals using the watch. So they show the watch right away. They got like the quotes, and then they have this internal employee like watch use, and it's like, hey, look at how Apple employees are using the watch to take care of themselves and live better lives, right? And then engage with your employees, blah blah blah. It's just really cool. And then they even have like a setup program, right? So this one, they figure if you're an employee, you're probably looking at this, and you might impulse buy this because they just say Apple retail store, or you contact the business team, right? But the reason why I'm saying this is really like an impulse buy thing is they have a buy button here, right? It does not go away. Now, you could click on this if you want to learn more about the Apple Watch, and then it takes you to the actual standard Apple Watch sales page that everybody looks at, right? And then you could go ahead and buy it. Pick one. Which one do I want? I don't know. Now, the only thing I'm going to say about this is that this page is broken. Whoopsie. That would be the only one ding I would have on this experience as a full mark off, because I've been analyzing this funnel for over a month, and this button used to work in the beginning, and now it has not worked for at least a month that I know of. And then it's like, see our sitemap. And this is why you want to make sure that everything works all the time, whether you got to build some sort of bot that trolls your site and just clicks on links over and over again. But if you're this big of a company, I don't know. I don't think this should be happening, because what happens to the experience? Well, I was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna convince my boss to buy 1,000 iPhones, but I want to watch right now. Click. Oh, I guess Apple doesn't want me to buy it. And when I click on sitemap, it gets even more confusing because now I'm like, wow, what am I looking at? This is just a vomit of stuff, right? So you've already lost me because in an impulse buy, it's like you need to make that. You need if you could just make the watch materialize as soon as you had the intent to buy, that'd be the best. But you can't put up any barriers because now I'm second guessing this. Like, should I buy this? I don't know. Maybe not. Okay. So anyways, that is the experience of this B2B funnel. The only one thing I do want to point out is that I call it the lost testimonial videos page because in this sub nav, they have this one section. They call it success stories, which is just hitting you with testimonial video after testimonial video from all these different companies, right? All these testimony videos are in the same kind of vein. It's probably the same production company doing all these, I'm guessing. I'm not sure. But anyways, I just thought it was odd that all of these have a section, right? But the success stories doesn't. So I'm guessing that was intentional. Maybe they felt if you really want to see the success stories, you will. They've already put enough in the experience as you're going through it. I'm not quite sure. To be honest. Also, the only other thing I would say that's kind of a bit of a is that this last part is called next steps, and usually next steps would indicate like the end of this experience, and the next step would be like actually talking to people and like clicking, call the department, the sales department, or buy whatever it is. I just thought it was odd that there's no like it's somewhere in there where they'll have a phone number. I'll try to find it for you right now, but I feel like every one of these pages at the bottom should have a call us now. Because any one of these pages, you could have already made the decision that you need to talk to somebody, right? Like, instead of making them go all the way through it. Or maybe, next steps is the call button instead of this page. And you just name this page something else, right? Because, think about it. In this whole experience I showed you, where did they actually show you, like, okay, they have here volume purchasing. This is about apps, though, right? And then it's just like another landing page. I'm like, come on, I want to talk to somebody, right? It's a little bit off there. Okay, let's see. Get started. What does that do? Nope. Takes you to this section. So this is very confusing. Why is this get started and next steps, right? It's a little bit off there, to be honest. All right, next steps. Oh, nope. Okay, it goes to apps. See, that's the part that I'm like, what is going on here? Because you have, apps under the next steps category. But I think if you're that makes sense in the maybe flow of your concerns, right? As an enterprise business. It doesn't make sense in a sales process experience, okay? Because in B2B, your UX is all about sales. It's got to lead to sales, right? So I just went through. Okay, here we go. Learn more how to buy. Jeez Louise. Okay, so I finally found it. So it's on the second to last page. So I guess that's the experience then. Excuse me. It's get started, right? And then you're like, learn more how to buy. And then next steps would be like, I guess after you purchased, then the next steps. Kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. I think if it's confusing enough for me to have to ask these questions, there's something being lost here, right? So, this page here is perfect. This is a call to action page, which, enterprise, small business, financing, service support, these are all categories you need. I just don't understand why it can't be clearly somewhere, because if you were going down this rabbit hole and you were doing this sincerely, like imagine how many PDFs you downloaded, how many links you went to, all this stuff, and then you're gonna just, click around to figure out what the heck is going on. So I guess that's the part of the flow that I'm not super stoked on. But that is why I do these breakdowns, because I'm analyzing it. Now, again, this is still a really fantastic B2B funnel that you can model your website off of. It's actually very simple. You're just creating a vertical experience that has, minimalist design to it, but links to subpages, which really gets into the nitty and gritty. Because imagine if you tried to cram all this stuff into the front page, you would just be scrolling forever. This front page really helps kind of summarize things and allows you to choose which part of the adventure you want to go on. So anyways, that is my breakdown for the Apple B2B website. I hope it was informative. Again, disclaimer, I am not a UX guru. And so I would love to get your feedback if you have any thoughts, your own suggestions for this to make it better. And if you have any questions, let me know. Hit me up, O Henry Finn, on Twitter and whatever other social media stuff, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I love y'all. Thanks for listening and have a good day.
You have a heart of gold.